Hi, welcome to Words Worth Saying, where people come to share their two most important life lessons. My name is Amy Dean, and I have with me today Marilyn Messick. Marilyn, thank you for coming to join us today.
Pleasure.
And Marilyn is here to share with us her two most important life lessons. Marilyn, would you like to tell us a little bit about yourself first?
Well, I'm a writer. I write for businesses and I also write fiction. So kind of an all-round writer.
Yeah.
Very different, the two sides of the work I do, because the copywriting I have to step into other people's shoes and use their voice.
Yes.
And the fiction I can use my own voice, which is in some ways more relaxing and in some ways more stressful.
Yes, of course, because you've got to conjure up the imagination and create.
But you're
things.
not hiding behind anything else.
Yeah.
You see, so that's the stressful bit.
Yeah. Now I've read your first two books. So the first one was Relatively Strange. Is that right? Oh, I loved it. I loved it.
I'm
So exciting! I couldn't wait for the next one to come out.
That is so lovely.
Yeah, and the other one was Even Stranger.
Even Stranger. That's right.
And what's the third one?
The third one is Witch Dust, which is a standalone novel.
Oh, is it?
Yes, and I'm now working on Stranger Still, which is the third in the trilogy.
Fabulous. Oh, that sounds wonderful. I
Yes.
can't wait.
Neither can I.
Yeah, but they're so perfect for film or TV as well.
A lot of people have said that.
Yeah.
But it's a question of getting it in front of the right people.
Of course. Yeah, so if anybody out there is listening who is interested in a new idea for a television programme or film, Relatively Strange by Marilyn Messick, check it out.
I'm your woman.
So, Marilyn, would you like to share with us your first life lesson?
Well, the first life lesson, I think, is that if you have an idea, take it by the scruff of the neck and shake the hell out of it. Don't ever think, oh, well, I'll get round to that later. Do it. Because there's a right time, but you don't know what the right time is.
Yeah.
So you might as well, if an idea comes into your head, do it. Because there's a sort of zeitgeist, actually, that goes on, a spirit of the times, that means if you have a bright idea about something, someone, somewhere else, totally unrelated, will probably have the same sort of bright idea. And that's happened to so many people.
Yeah.
They'll see something and they'll say, well, I thought of that.
Yeah,
and I was going to do that. And now somebody else has gone and done it.
Yeah.
So, scruff of the neck, shake the hell out of it.
Would you say that you've experienced that yourself personally, or have you seen that happen for other people?
No, I've done it myself. I've always gone for things. The idea can't. Well, that's the entrepreneurial spirit, which is great in some ways, but it doesn't always have a practical base. So you're great with ideas and moving things forward, but it's like creating a Frankenstein's monster. Often you create something that's almost too big to handle.
Oh, yes.
And by the time you realise, it's out of your control. So that's what entrepreneurs have to be a bit careful of. They have to make sure that they have a solid practical base, because that's where so many of them trip up, because they're always running after the next shiny ball idea, which is great, providing there's somebody there to ground you.
Yeah, true. And that's where we all have different qualities, don't we?
That's
and
right.
different skills.
Yes.
And teaming up with other people.
You need to find people who are going to fill in all your gaps.
Yeah, be the details people.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
And who are interested in the money coming in and the money going out, whereas entrepreneurs aren't really at all.
Yeah.
It's the idea that fascinates them, that they fall in love with, that they want to push forward. It's not the practicalities, and you can't live life like that, sadly.
Of course. So, what would be your Frankenstein's monster that you refer to?
Probably, round about, let me think, round about the probably about 1990, I set up a booking, planning and advisory service for bed and breakfast and hotels in New England in America.
Wow.
And it grew and grew and grew because the people over here who wanted to go and stay in unusual places over there didn't have access to it. And the innkeepers and the hotel owners in America didn't have access to advertising over here, wouldn't have known where to start.
Yeah.
So I created a conduit, which was great. And after I'd been going for about 4 or 5 years, I realised that I had so much wonderful information on so many fantastic places, which were just wonderful, that I ought to put them in a book. Because what you're selling and the type of people that you're selling it to, you're actually selling the dream.
Yeah.
Because when people go away on a trip, they can probably only stay on 4 or 5 places, typically. But leafing through a beautiful book with all the potential, all the possibilities, that's part of the pleasure.
Yeah, of course, part of the planning.
So I created a book, set up a publishing company without knowing the pitfalls, but much better not to know the pitfalls in advance. Set up a publishing company, and we produced selected hotels and inns. And the hotels and inns paid to come into the book,
Yeah.
which was very nice. Although I didn't sell to them, I invited them in. And they were invited in on the basis of feedback that we'd received from clients.
Okay.
And it grew. It grew and grew. And the booking, planning and advisory side of the business also grew because people used the book and then used the service,
Yeah.
because that was free. And more hotels wanted to join us. And by the time we got to the end of the 90s, we had about 350 properties.
Wow.
All spreading all over the States, actually. And it was great. But of course the writing was on the wall, the internet.
I was going to say, this was before all of that, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
When I started doing it, I used to make all the bookings by phone.
Gosh, yeah.
So built up a fantastic relationship
Yeah.
with all of the people I was dealing with,
Yeah.
the hoteliers and the innkeepers, and I used to go over and speak at industry conferences and things like that about international marketing, about which I knew nothing. Actually, it was just common sense.
Yeah.
And it grew and grew. But by the time the internet and email had come in, the writing was on the wall. People were going to spend money on developing their own sites.
Yes.
Because they would then be able to reach worldwide, and they weren't going to spend money coming into a book.
Yeah, completely different these days, isn't it? And we've
Completely
got
different.
all those booking sites online, none of which I'm
Mm.
going to mention. But yes, things have changed so much
But
in
in
such a short
fact, the
time.
pendulum has swung too far the other way, because now there's so much information there that how do you know? How do you choose?
Yeah.
Whereas when we were doing it, it was all personal stuff. I visited everywhere, and if I hadn't been there, then we'd had clients or guests who'd been there, and we had feedback. We knew what we were talking about. So it's kind of swung the other way.
Yeah.
But actually, that leads to my other life lesson.
Oh,
Quite
nice
neatly,
little segue there. Yeah.
Quite neatly, which is never go back.
Okay.
Never go back, ever. It's just not right.
In what way?
Well, I'm not sure I can elaborate on that. It's instinctive. It would feel stale.
Yeah.
It would go against the principles of chasing the shiny new marbles that you see everywhere. I just think that it's always a mistake to go back. And I remember years and years ago when I was a girl, we went to stay for a family holiday in Bournemouth. And my mother and I went on a walk one day, and we found this wonderful shop which just sold chocolate truffles. And in those days that was quite a novelty.
Yeah.
And we gorged on these chocolate truffles. We went there almost every day, and we brought some home with us. And they were out of this world. They really were, absolutely. And the whole year we talked about, if we go back, we'll go to the truffle shop. And we did go back, and we went to the truffle shop, and they weren't as nice.
Oh.
So that's so sad, isn't it?
Yes.
I mean, that's really not uplifting in the least.
No. So that was kind of your first lesson in not
Yes,
going back.
my first lesson. And actually, my father was a pessimist. So kind of from him, I suppose, my mantra that has developed, which has always stood me in good stead, is if one door closes, another one usually slams too. The light at the end of the tunnel is an oncoming train, and the jury's still out on the tooth fairy. And with that sort of philosophy, actually you don't get too disappointed a lot.
Yeah. But I wouldn't have said that you were a glass half empty sort of person.
I'm a glass not even filled at all person.
Really?
Very pessimistic.
Are you?
Yes.
Gosh.
I can be very optimistic for other people,
Uh-huh.
and I am. But when it comes to me, I'm quite pessimistic,
Okay.
and I tend to have learned that you can't trust everybody, and sometimes you give your trust to people and it doesn't work out.
Yeah. But for somebody who describes themselves as definitely not glass even a quarter
Yes.
full,
Not even a
you've
drop in
managed
it.
to achieve an enormous amount, and with following your life lessons.
But
too.
then maybe that's because if you don't set your expectations, if you set your expectations realistically,
Yeah.
then perhaps that's more practical.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not a great believer in this kind of, there's an ethos that's grown up where people, you see it so much in social media,
Yeah.
you know, why aren't you earning 6 figures a month?
Oh gosh, yes.
And yes, you can do it. Buy this book, come to this workshop, and you can do it too. And I think that actually sets up for people quite a problem, because they see what they think are other people doing so well, and why am I not earning that much money?
And they end up judging themselves.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. And in the end, actually, I don't think it inspires confidence. I think it erodes confidence. And that's very sad. I don't like to see that happen.
No, I understand what you're saying.
Mm.
So there is a huge amount of that out there at the moment.
A huge amount.
And very alluring too.
It's very alluring,
Yeah.
but it's actually false fairy lights.
Yeah.
And if people follow them, they could be up for disappointment.
Yeah.
I mean, I've just finished writing a book on copywriting, and it's a book on practical copywriting for your business. But it's not, I'm not promising that it's going to lead them down the yellow brick road to the pot of gold at the end,
Yeah.
because I think they might find a pot of something else altogether.
Yeah.
Because there is no easy answer. There is no magic wand. Sorry, Harry Potter. But there is no magic wand.
Yeah.
And it works out, things work out differently for everybody.
Absolutely.
And you
Yeah.
can't look at what other people are doing and the successes they've made and the money they're making. A, because you don't know actually how accurate that is, and B, because they're not you. They're
True.
different.
I think there's nothing wrong with being inspired by something that somebody else
Yes.
is doing, but then
If it encourages you rather
Yes.
than discourages
yeah,
you.
and then going ahead and doing your own thing in your own way.
Mm.
So, your 2 life lessons? We'll just go back to those. Is that there's the first one was, if you have an idea,
Grab it by the scruff of the neck.
grab it by the scruff of the neck, and the second one was don't look back.
Yes, don't look back.
And
don't
who
go
would you
back.
like to pass those lessons on to?
Well, actually, anybody who'll listen.
Yeah.
I suppose my children, my grandchildren.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
All right. Well, Marilyn, thank you very much for
Thank you.
sharing your life lessons.
It's a pleasure.
We will be back again with Words Worth Saying. So look out for the next one, and we'll see you next time.